Welcome to the Money Down. We got a special guest tonight, Wes Schroll, CEO, founder, Fetch Rewards. We appreciate you taking the time to chat it up with us. I know you said it's a little bit past your bedtime, so we won't keep you too long.
I mean, you didn't have to throw me under the bus.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But I guess I want to start off, man. I heard you started your first business at the age of 14. So what sparks a 14-year-old kid to want to start his own business?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I think I was super fortunate that early on I stumbled into entrepreneurship as being what I was passionate about. But for me at the time, all it looked like was I really liked solving problems and I liked being on a team. I figured out I liked being on a team from playing basketball and football. And I just absolutely love the concept of those team sports where you have to work together. You end up beating teams that are better than you if you're actually firing on all cylinders. So I love that aspect. And then the other side of me was just trying to figure out what are problems that other people haven't solved, at least to my satisfaction, and then can I go solve those? You put those two things together, and that essentially is entrepreneurship. So I think, again, at 14, you would not have heard me say that word, but you would have heard me say, oh, I like solving problems. This is kind of fun. Yeah. I was lucky to have parents who were like, yeah, go do it. Like, try it. So, yeah, more stumbling into it than anything else.
I feel that. What was that first business that you did for yourself? I guess that's a big question too.
Man, I wish I had a better answer. Other than no matter what your first idea is, you're going to learn and you're going to get good experience. So that's like key. For me, it was I had just gotten a driver's permit going now into 15. And I always forgot to bring it with me because I never carried my wallet on me, but I always had my phone. And my dad was the opposite. I would always be trying to text him and he forgot his phone, but he'd have his wallet on him. So this was back when you can't walk into a Verizon store and just see all the iPhones with the cases. So I was like, well, why don't we create something that attaches to your phone and could have, your ID in it, your credit cards and things like that. Was I the first one to have that idea? Absolutely not. I think I just hadn't seen people like that. Don't tell my 15-year-old self this. I thought it was like I had figured out how to solve the hardest problem ever. But I ended up just creating some designs by sketching it on a piece of paper, figured out what it meant to file for a provisional patent, started to actually work together with some teachers who were helping me figure out how to program it in CAD so to like get it on to a digital format. And then I was able to actually get enough attention from Motorola by me networking. And networking for me was literally just asking, who do you know? Do you know anyone in the phone industry? And a neighbor son basically said, my dad works at Nokia. And I was like, cool, that sounds like a fun company. So I was like, just made my way in through there. So it was really exciting. And they were going to fly me out to Chicago. This is when they were headquartered there. I was really excited. And then all of a sudden they went dark on me. And this was the hard lesson of don't put all your eggs in one basket, because that was my only game plan. I was like, I'm going to sell this to Motorola. And the company ended up getting split in half. Half went to Google, half went to Nokia, and everyone I knew there was fired. So I was like, oh, poof, there goes that idea.
I was gonna ask you that, like, what age did you have that first like roadblock? And I mean, you pretty much just answered it there, but what did you learn from that helped you to where you are now? Just the whole process of how to just keep going, pretty much.
Yeah, with that one, I mean, I view that the journey of entrepreneurship is full of those gut checks, and there's the hard part about it is like you do have to at some point question, is this the right idea to keep going with? And I think whenever you hit one of those roadblocks, you got to assess, is this roadblock because the product market fit isn't right and I need to change it? Or is this just a natural roadblock that I have to just go and figure out another way of doing it? I think when that one hit for me, I was like, I'm going into my senior year of high school. I did start to see other people doing it. And I was like, no, this patent's not going to be granted. These companies have been doing this longer than my idea has been around. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this better than anyone else. So my gut check there was, I'm actually going to move on from this idea and go find my next one. So I learned a bunch of things through that experience. I don't kid about the don't put all your eggs in one basket, because again, that was my go-to-market strategy was I'm going to work with Motorola. I had no backup plan. So like, that was why I had to evaluate and be like, can I do this? And the reality was no. I don't think that lesson's learned very well unless you actually fail and run into that brick wall, but it was a good lesson for me.
You know what, like, I think what's cool is, you know, we talked about how old you were when, you know, you did it. You know, you were in high school. Like, you know, these days we have a lot of the younger generation starting businesses or trying to get into the business world. So, you know, I would say that, you know, you were at a time where you were pioneering and starting that off to where the younger generation was, you know, starting to build their own businesses. So for you, you know, what piece of advice would you give, you know, a young high schooler or a young, you know, elementary school kid? Because, you know, they figured out how to make bots and stuff like that for shoes and whatnot. What piece of advice would you give them? Like, obviously they're getting into it, but, you know, there's things that they don't know. So what would you say to a kid that age?
I mean, there's a lot of things, I think really cool things that actually support young entrepreneurship, even more so than when I was going through that. There's now so many different technologies out there that like you can create a mobile app without being able to code. Like there's apps where you can just drag and drop different things and it writes the code back behind the scene for you. For me, I was on Microsoft Paint, like creating these pictures and like trying to pretend that's how it works. That's how I don't think there's no such thing as the excuse that you don't have access to the resources. And a lot of those are just free resources. You just got to go find them, teach yourself how to use them, and then you'd be amazed how fast you can prototype something. So I like to start by just saying like the barriers are coming down for the ability, but that means the competition is going to go up because the barriers are down for everyone, right? So I think some of the things that young folks don't realize is that most people, if you reach out and you're trying to network and you're a 15-year-old, most people in really high positions will actually respond and want to help because no one does it. Like people are amazed with it. Someone was telling me that they wanted to, start a pizza company. I was like, that's a version of entrepreneurship. I love it. I was like, have you introduced yourself to the local pizza owners and just tell them you're passionate about pizza? Can I intern in your store after school for 5 hours a week and learn?
Yeah.
I was like, people will do that and they'll help you. And I got to like senior vice presidents in Motorola off of simply just being passionate about an idea, where if you think about it, that person sitting there and saying, I think every day about phones and I'm passionate about phones. Oh my God, this 15-year-old who looks like, who's probably my son's age is also passionate about this. Of course I want to help them. So I'm like, don't be shy, reach out to people, have an idea, have thought about who you're reaching out to, try to help them with something, think about maybe something that they might find interesting and take away from it. And then always follow up. You got to close the loop with people one way or another, because they're making time, they're trying to help you out. And that relationship, you can always come back to it even years down the road if you close it correctly by following up, saying, thank you, here's what happened. The idea didn't work out, I shut it down. Some of the people I met from my very first venture became angel investors for me 4 years later. Yeah. So it's like important to, you're building your reputation and your network through that process. And the other thing is there's no easy, perfect place to start. You just got to start somewhere. Fetch wasn't built with anything other than an idea to start with. And now I look around like, oh crap, there's a lot here now. That started from nothing and there's no magic recipe to it. There's just a lot of failure and trying and repeating and just keep going. So no matter what age you're at, I'd start there.
So let's fast forward to University of Wisconsin. And I tried to study business at University of Wisconsin for a whole just 1 year. 1 year.
That's
I steered myself in another direction after that year because of how difficult it was. Talk about that business plan competition that you were a part of, why you wanted to go to the University of Wisconsin. And I mean, that's where the birthplace of Fetch really started. So how did that come about?
So first of all, James, you and I both did 1 year of business school. That's all I needed to do. So don't be hard on yourself. I got 1 year too. So it doesn't really mean much. Don't worry about that.
You don't need it, is what he's saying.
Okay, so why Wisconsin? That was your first question. And that's what every high school friend asked me. First of all, I was like, where's Wisconsin on a map? And no one knew. So people have no idea. Why are you going to Wisconsin? Michigan was my first choice. That's where my brother went. That's where my parents went. My family's a Midwest family from Illinois. So I was interested in Big Ten schools right away. Michigan waitlisted me. So I was like, all right, I got to try something else. And I found out that there was a person starting an entrepreneurship program at UW. And I reached out to him. I said, I'm going to come visit, do my senior year visit. I'd love to talk with you real quick, introduce myself, tell you about what I did in high school, and see if there's a fit. And I show up there, and you guys are used to this, but you all got recruited. This is my recruiting story. So I show up there, and for 3 hours, he takes me on a one-on-one tour around campus, showing me that you can get free office space, you can work with free lawyers. Here's all the things we're doing to support entrepreneurship here at UW. He single-handedly sold me, and he's the sole reason that I went to UW. I mean, I love the city as well, but that individual, John Eckhart, was the reason I decided to go there. So there was a long-winded answer for why I went to Wisconsin.
Bro, hold on. First off, I gotta stop you there real quick, because you mentioned recruitment. I know all your high school friends and people that you met in college, and I'm gonna be the first to say it. You should have went somewhere to play sports. I don't know if people know this or the people that are listening, bro. You are an athlete, bro. I gotta tell you this story, dog. So the first time Wes and I went to go, I've known Wes since 2016. We met at like a Rumble boxing class. And just like, you know how guys get, you get competitive and things like that. So we ended up becoming friends and things like that. And we went to go play basketball. We went to go play basketball together. The first time I played with him, we were in like an intramural league. And bro, Wes catches a fast break, bro. And when I tell you, bro, I was expecting him to go up, nice layup off the glass, fundamental. You know what I'm saying? Bro, when I tell you this man took off outside the block, tomahawk, one hand, bro, my jaw dropped, bro, and I could not play basketball for like 3 minutes. I'm like, bro, what the heck did I just see? Because bro, I know you're an athlete. Like I've seen you in boxing class and things like that. I know you're athletic, bro, but to see him jump out the gym, bro, and I'm not saying like ground grazer, bro. I'm talking like elbow on the ground, bro, just like pulling it down. I'm like, God, bro. So I want you to know, bro. I think, bro, Wisconsin should have recruited you. Yeah, is what they should have did.
First and foremost, I'm putting this clip. I'm gonna make my whole company watch just this clip, bro. More about the business stuff.
Yeah, they probably won't believe it,
bro. I wish I caught this on video, bro. But but Rich knew about it. Rich, one of your best friends from high school and college and things like that. Bro, Rich saw it, and Rich turned around and walked down court like it was an everyday thing. Like, bro, Rich, did you not just see that? Bro, I'm telling you, my dog is an athlete. You catch him on the court, he's giving you 30, and he's probably going to dunk on you maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm just saying.
Get out the way.
Get out the way.
Now, Warren, in fairness, though, I actually did think about playing sports in college.
Okay.
My basketball coach had been helping. He's like, do you want to go down the path? Do you want to do that? I had already stumbled onto entrepreneurship, though. And I knew, unlike you guys on this call, I wasn't going to be able to play professionally. So I was like, look, I'm going to go down the path where I know I can do it professionally. Mm-hmm. And when I'd even talked with UW, and they're like, well, we could get you a walk-on spot, but you'd have to redshirt for a year. You're just going to have to work out. And for me, I was like, I'd rather just go and advance the thing that I know I want to do the rest of my life already. Yeah. And while I love sports deeply, it's just, I know I'm not that good to be able to do it. So I'll just go show up on the intramural courts and get some highlights.
I'm just saying, I ain't going to agree with that. I think you were really good, but that's just me. We can move on from that, but I'm standing on it.
I appreciate you.
For sure.
Could have been Sam Decker, Wes Schroll lead the back.
Hey, I'm telling you, I'm highlight reel, dog. I'm telling you. Fans would have loved it, man.
I don't think Fetch would have gotten off the ground if I
was. You go ahead, James.
So I guess that leads me to the next point. Like our podcast is called The Money Down, where we kind of talk to it on football terms like third down, in the game situations, but we think it applies to life as well, where you put all your chips in, you bet on yourself, which I very well assume you did when it comes to entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. When was your money down moment where you put all your chips in? This is Fetch. I'm going all or nothing, and this is what I want to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll give you the first obvious one, and I'll give you one other one after that. The first obvious one was I started working on Fetch in between my freshman and sophomore year. And I had been spending, 40, 50 hours a week doing that and trying to also balance schoolwork. And I had set up myself goals. I knew there was a business plan competition at the end of the year. And I told myself, if I win, I think it was like $15,000, I knew I'd be able to drop my internship, pay for my housing for the summer, and hire one other person. So I was like, look, if I can do that, I'll drop the internship. And so we ended up entering into the business plan competition, not only at University of Wisconsin-Madison, but we'd already written a 15-page business plan. So I was like, other schools have to be doing this. So I called all my friends from high school and found out Boston College had one, University of Massachusetts Amherst. I would send them my business plan. They would put their name on it. We would fly out there and compete in their business plan competitions. And we won $185,000 in 40 days. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to drop the internship. It was like kind of a no-brainer. Coming up through the summer, though, I was like, I'm really loving what we're doing. I was able to hire a team of like 7 or 8 people. And I was like, I want to keep doing this. And I know if I go back to school, I'm not going to do either one to the fullest of its potential. So I was like, I gotta drop out. I know I need to do this. So I ended up deciding to drop out that summer. And that's why I only did 1 year of business school. So I made it through my sophomore year before I dropped out and just was doing this full time.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like, go ahead, Bruce.
Oh, no. Can I ask you, how was that conversation with your parents? Like, because I know, you know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people, you tell your family you dropping out, they're looking at you probably crazy. So how was that conversation? Give us a little insight on that.
I think one of the things that helped is they knew how much extra time I was dedicating to business already from high school. From the age I was 14, and if you talk to my parents, they'll say I was trying to sell golf balls back to golfers. I'd like go on the golf course and find balls in the woods and go sell them to people since I was like 8. So like they knew I was always interested in business. So my dad, I remember he told me, I was wondering how long it would take. So like he was accepting of it. And credit to my mom, to me, she was very supporting of it. I think behind the scenes, she was talking with the family, like, what the heck is he doing? Well, we're gonna let him try both ways. He's paying for his expenses. So like, sure, he's figuring it out. So I think that really helped. Now, in hindsight, I did not realize this at the age. My family is all entrepreneurs. My dad joined a pharmaceutical company as like employee number 72 and left when it had 10,000 employees. My mom did a startup out of Madison 6 years ago and sold it to Amazon. So like we're all my brother sold his startup 2 years ago. Like we're just weird entrepreneurs because I think we see it in each other and we're like motivated by it and excited by it. So I was incredibly fortunate that I had that support. I don't think I would be here today if I didn't have such an incredible support network. And I know that was like extremely lucky that I had that.
And you talked about formulating your team. How'd you go about doing that? Was that just high school friends? Was it friend of friends? How that? Because the team is the most important thing. Because obviously you have yourself, you have the plan, but you got to have other people that you trust and that you believe in. Especially if you're sending them out there in competitions to execute your plans. so how'd you do that?
Well, I'm laughing because you listed off all different folks that, yes, were employees at one point, best friends, other friends, brother, dad. It was whoever was willing to work for $7 an hour. So I think early on, I mean, the reality is, first of all, the hardest part of Fetch was the first 10 months that I was working on it by myself. Yeah. It was miserable. I'm a very social person anyways. I get energy from being around people, being a part of a team. So that first part is a really hard time. If you can find a co-founder or someone early on, I really encourage people to find it, share the burden with that, like be open about those things. It'll just help you with sustainability because you will come up against lots of, because that was going to be my other answer too. When have you had a money down? I don't know, like dozens of every year for the first 7 years, there was numerous times where we were about to fail and we had to just push all the chips in again. Yeah. And it was almost like we became desensitized to it. We used to just be like, failure is not an option. We're going to just like keep going for it. Like there's no other outcome here other than going for
win.
It. You're in too deep. So yeah, the early team though, when we had won the business plan money, think about this. We're going into the summer because I said that was my junior year. So we win the business plans competitions. There's like 15 days and then summer. You know who doesn't have internships 15 days before summer are the people who are bottom of the tier or were too lazy to apply. Like
and the bottom feeders.
It was the bottom feeders or the people that no one else would take a chance on. Yeah. So for me to come in there and offer them a real opportunity, I found amazing people that were willing to work like 90, 100-hour weeks and have a fun while doing it. And we were just all the scrappy, like no one else would bet on us, so we're doing it ourselves. And I loved that first team. Unfortunately, like the reality with also being the CEO of the company for 11 years is sadly you see a lot of people come and go because there's different times that people are the right fit for it. And as the company keeps scaling, people who are right one day aren't right, maybe 2 years down the road. So unfortunately, none of them are, really still around. But that team was incredible. That first one, it was so scrappy. We were just making shit up left and right. It was awesome. Nowadays we have 860 employees. We obsess over talent. I would say it's like running a professional sports team. You're trying to make sure that you have the right people in the right positions. You're building up their support teams underneath them as well. So now it feels a lot more like a science. Back then it was just like you were finding people that were passionate and willing to work hard, and that was fun.
So my question is like, could you kind of just take us through the evolution of Fetch, right? To get to how far you had to bring it to get it to the greatest app that it is right now. Like you have a ton of people using it. It's very popular. You see it all over the place, advertisements and things like that. But where did it start?
And for all of our users that will end up watching this, and I posted talking about this podcast, and you'll see every single one of them said, "Bring daily rewards back."
Yeah.
We definitely got some fan questions.
Oh yeah, okay. So we'll cover it. We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. So that's like the hot topic.
Yeah.
It's been for the last year. So all right, hot topic. We'll come back to that. So the journey. I'll try to shrink down the 11 years as timely as I can. Year one was like compete in the business plan competition, get enough money, be able to hire the first team so that you could try to build an MVP, minimum viable product, right? Because you want to get something out into the hands of the consumers, see if people will use it, see if people will pay for it. And you got to iterate and go through that as fast as possible. Fetch, the original idea that I had, the first business plan, actually is what we do today. But rewind back 10 years ago, the phone camera wasn't good enough to actually take pictures of receipts and process it in real time on the phone. So we had to pivot. So we actually launched a different product called ShopFetch and ran a business called ShopFetch for the first 4 years. So we weren't even doing what we do today for 4 years. We would partner with grocery stores. It was a scan and go technology. So you'd scan barcodes as you walk through the store, keeps a running total for you, and you would check out by going to the front and hitting your name on the tablet. And we launched at Fresh Madison Market. And I would literally stand there wearing a Fetch t-shirt. And as people would walk in, I would be like, "Hey, you're Dan, download this app." And I'd like force them to download it and use it. And like, that's how we got our first consumers to use the product. Yeah. And over 4 years, we scaled up to about 100 stores that had us integrated. But the challenge that we faced, and we made 25 people, the challenge was we then had a 3-sided business. We had to get consumers to use the app, retailers to allow us in their store so that we could get access to consumers. And then we needed brands who would fund the rewards to consumers. A 2-sided business is really hard. A 3-sided business is impossible. Like, I do not try to do a 3-sided business. That's my only advice. And so for 4 years, we did that. We were scrappy. We raised money from angel investors because I think they just believed in us. We should have failed so many times in that one. And then in 2017, we basically said, look, the trajectory that this business is going on, it's going to lead to all our investors being disappointed, for us not being able to keep going. And like the outcomes are just not that exciting. So we said, all right, we're going to duplicate the code base. And we think receipt reading is good enough. We are going to fire all 100 of our clients, which are the stores. We're going to completely kill the app, like stop it. And we are going to put all of our eggs in the basket of, we think this receipt reading Fetch thing is actually going to be what it is. I remember I pulled my whole team into the conference room and I was like, I need every single person in this room to say yes, because yes, this could be my idea, but you are all like in jeopardy of your jobs just alongside me. So I was like, are we all aligned? And everyone was like, yes, 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 yes. So we threw everything into that basket. And in 2017, we launched the Fetch app kind of as it stands today, where you scan receipts and earn points. From 2017 with 23 employees to where we're at now, we've added 830 employees, almost 20 million monthly active users, 6 million daily active users. So we hit product market fit. And once you hit product market fit, you can scale. And in that time frame, I think we raised almost $500 million to be able to invest to grow back faster. So like a ton happened in the 7 years, but those years were like things are going well in comparison to the first 4 years.
Said you have an app. How do you continue to stay innovative, stay ahead of the curve? Because obviously with apps, like you could be hot for 1 year, the next year, everybody kind of forgets about you. So what do you guys do to stay fresh?
So I think the first thing that we really focus on doing is we have 3 core pillars that we always talk about. The app has to be really easy to use. It has to be really fun to use. And it has to be smart. The more you use it, the better it gets for you. And in our world, that means the more receipts you scan, the more offers you see that are relevant to things you actually buy and everything. And all of that combines into it being something that's just in a customer's life of being happy. They're just excited to use it. And once you're in the habitual use of using it, you just have to make sure you're delivering on value. Are you giving them enough points that they can actually get enough gift cards to make it worth their time? And are you delivering enough emotional happiness that people are like, hey, look, I was going to have this receipt. I spent the money. I don't want to throw it away. I might as well get something back for it.
Yeah.
So I think we've found that intersection of doing that. Now, we are also trying to push the envelope, though. Like we are constantly trying new things on the app, taking away things like daily rewards. Things to free up space to try and innovate on new things. And not everyone loves all those decisions, but sometimes you just have to do what is right for the long term of the business to keep their product around and be able to keep growing that product so that they'll have it for the longevity. So it's been one of the curses of being the face of the company, which we decided we wanted people to know who I was. So it's a real company. It's a real person behind it. Awesome team. Like but you can hold me accountable. Like if you don't like it, you can let me know. And as you guys see, like they do.
and that's what I wanted to ask you that, you gave us a story about walking into the conference room and pretty much letting everybody know, like, I need everyone all in. To me, it seems like you're a very humble person. How does that feel to know that you are, you have employees that help you get through everything, but it kind of, at the end of the day, like everything falls on you. Where does that character build from, for yourself?
So I have a very poignant learning that I had. I'm actually curious if I have it here or at the, I think it's in the office, actually. So I'll give you the reason of why I am the way I am now. So 3 years into the business, actually right before we made the pivot over, we had an investor who had promised us that he was going to invest. And he kept telling us the check is on its way. And I was like, okay. We had 60 days of cash left. And I knew at that time we had 21 employees. They had, I think it was 14 kids between them. Like you just know everyone at that stage. It's a very small, it feels like a small family versus a team, right? Or versus a company. And I was like, okay, well, he's going to fund it. So there's nothing to worry about. And then 45 days and nothing, and 30 days and nothing. And all of a sudden I realized this guy might not actually give us the money and we're going to run out. We won't be able to pay checks and everyone's going to have to, like, all those kids, everything, like they're going to be. So at the time though, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone on the team. I thought I was like, I'm the CEO. I'm supposed to solve this. Like my job is to do this. So I got to figure it out. And I turned into this shell of a person during that time. And my brilliant idea was I'm going to take a stack of Post-it notes, and every day I'm going to write 31 all the way down to day 0. And every day in the morning I'll come in, I'll take one off, and I'd written someone's name that I was going to fire that day because I was trying to figure out how to make the cash last. So a week into it, it's like day 24, and people are like, why did he let 3 people go? No one had any idea, right? And for me, I still have it in my desk there. It's still on day 24. I never got past it, even though we didn't get funded until like day 8.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, I don't want to do this if that's what it's about. And so what happened the next time is, of course, we almost ran out of money again. The next time, it was recently, actually, it was last year, Silicon Valley Bank. You guys know about it.
Yeah.
So we had 95% of all of our cash in Silicon Valley Bank. So on Friday, I was told that money's gone. We don't know if we're going to get it back. I only had enough for 2 payrolls. So instead, I called up, we had a manager meeting with my 80 managers. And I was like, look, here's the situation. Here's where the money is. I'm telling you this right now. I'm not taking a salary. I'm not going to take a salary until we figure this out. But I just want you to know it's going to get hard. We're going to do all these things to try to do it. But I'm just giving you guys the sight line. By the end of that day, I think almost half of them had sent me a message. I don't need a salary. Let's figure this out. There's no way a freaking bank is going to take us down. Everyone rallied around it. Yeah. So I think for me, I just learned, like, one, every person in my company is an owner. They have equity in they literally are owners of the business. And therefore, we're all in it together. I have the most just because I've been here the longest, but like everyone has equity. And that's important because I really do think like we have to decide what we want the company to become. Are we okay with the things we stand for? Are we comfortable that we're making the world a better place? Like, I want everyone to feel comfortable challenging that. And yes, at the end of the day, I have to make the final calls, but I never do so without talking with my team.
Yeah. I definitely want to, and I like to give all of the people that come on their kudos, man. But that shows a lot. That your team would rally around you during a time like that when you decide to make a decision. For your people. Like there's a lot of companies that don't do that. So I think that's special, and that speaks to who you are. Like I said, like I've known you for a while, man, and you're generous. You got a heart of gold. You love people, and so I just think that speaks volumes to you. Being a CEO, a founder. I'm gonna call you a top dog because you are a top dog. And to be as grounded as you are, I think that's amazing, man. So I definitely want to, give you a kudos on that because it's hard.
Anytime I'm feeling down, Warren, I'm coming on with
Hey, bro, I'm gonna tell you the truth about yourself, bro. You're a great dude, bro. And I'm gonna let everybody know that everybody that's listening, like I hope that they continue, investing in Fetch and investing in the culture that is there because it starts from the top down. And knowing you, I know that that's an amazing place.
Yeah, 100%. And before we get into some fan questions, I guess the last thing I ask you, why should someone use Fetch? Like, what is your pitch to a user? Why should they use this app?
I mean, it's totally free, and it literally pays you for all the shopping you were already doing. The stories that keep us going, and we go out there and ask users if they'll just film themselves for us and just be like, hey, we're going to play this at a company town all hands. Why are you using Fetch? And people will tell us how they've saved up enough points where, their paycheck came late and they couldn't afford dinner that night and they use their Fetch points to get dinner for their family. Or they're using them to buy presents for the kids because this year was a really hard year for them. At the end of the day, I don't care what the reason is. A lot of our users will also tell us that they're using it just because they need just a little moment of happiness. And this just feels good. Like we have these little fun animations that come out and like celebrate with you. If you ask most of our consumers, they'll tell you like Fetch is the one app on their phone that's truly there for them. And the reason why our logo is a dog is it's like man's best friend. Yeah. Our job, I was telling the company.
That's smooth.
My dog right underneath me.
That's smooth.
Mine's somewhere up here too. And I always tell every employee who starts on Monday, I do a welcome every Monday. And I tell them that if you've ever played Fetch with a dog, think about it. All you do is throw the ball. And you could throw it through a puddle into a friggin' thing of thistles, and it will run in there and it will get the ball and it will bring it back to you and it'll drop it smiling and wagging its tail. It'll splash you maybe because it gets something wrong, but it'll just be there because it's your best friend. I'm like, we're the dog. Don't get confused. Our consumers are the human throwing it. We are the dog. So we have to embody that. And who doesn't want a dog in their life? So that's why you should download Fetch. We're your dog. Like, come on.
I was gonna say the fun part is just like I know my whole family has that or uses the app and they love it. They love being able to see what each other are purchasing and things like that. I know James uses the app. Yep. I have the app, so we're big fans. Another question that was on here, like, how do you collaborate with the companies to cooperate with your app?
So The key, I love our business model. It's super transparent. So basically, if you open up the app and you see where all those offers says, go and buy this and earn points. The way that business model works is, let's say it's like Mentos gum. They just launched a new gum. And they see that because you've scanned a bunch of receipts that you buy Trident gum and a bunch of other different types of gums. Mentos is just trying to say, hey, try our product. And if you do, we'll give you some points for it. So when you go and buy that product, you are giving them incremental sales because you hadn't bought it before. So Mentos is more than happy to then cover the cost of the points, and then we just have a markup on it. So as you are earning more points, our partners are actually selling more. And it's not because you're spending more, you're just shifting your money towards companies that are rewarding you, which is how it should be. And then we make money from on the backs of the brands, but you get the lion's share of it as the consumer. So I think, first of all, I love that that's our business model. We can tell any consumer who asks me, I'm like, yeah, I love telling them that because we're all aligned here in terms of our incentives. And I think that really resonated with brands. Brands were super excited by, there's this third party out there that's truly advocating for the consumer, allowing the consumer to take part in the value creation. And that's why our mission is we want to become the world's rewards platform. Because like our fundamental belief is anytime you interact with a company and you generate profit for that company, you should get rewarded. Like you should get rewarded with a real tangible currency that you care about. Yeah. So now we added a feature where if you download like Monopoly Go, you'll earn points as you beat levels in it. That's because you're making money seeing ads from them and playing the game. So we're helping you share some of that back, even for just playing a game. You can imagine in the future, your health insurance being able to reward you for completing your steps for the day. So those are things that we have in our future that we will bring to the app. Our goal is so that every morning you wake up and we can reward you for dozens of things that you were going to do that day anyways. And we're just going to help connect you with the companies that care about that.
Yeah. All right, Wes, I'm going to ask the $1 million question. Don't hate me. I'm just asking the question.
Well, it's a lot more than $1 million question.
It sure is. Will the daily spin ever make a return?
It will. It will.
Oh, hey, you heard it here first.
We got exclusives here. It will, and not. We're working on retooling it, and that's why it's taken so long. It will be back in like soon. It will be back. Cool. We're almost done and going to be able to introduce it. It won't be every single day, but it'll be for pulses, and the rewards will be even bigger. And so like it will come in and then like go out and come in. So it's going to be like it's like the McRib, right? If the McRib is available, no one would care.
Yeah.
You know, so we gotta McRibify the future.
Throw some cheese on that McRib and you got me.
One person did ask, is Fetch a publicly traded stock, or is that something that you're even looking to do?
We are not publicly traded. We are a private company right now. We don't have any plans to go public. We will at some point, I'm sure. I would love to figure out if we go public, how we can let our users participate too. I think that'd be incredible if we can figure that out. I don't know. Legally, I don't even know. I think it'd be awesome to do that. But right now we're private because when you're public, you have to really be beholden to your share price going up and down every single day. And it makes you make a lot of decisions that are pretty short-term focused because you're just trying to maximize, where the price is. Versus as a private company, our investors are aligned with our vision. We want to be the world's rewards platform. That's going to take years for us to get there. We're so far away from it. So if we can move faster and increase the chances of getting there by being private, we're going to stay private.
I got you. So this was actually a really good question someone had asked. What is the advantage of having friends and using the social feature?
So for a lot of people, they're using it like your family was, just as a fun way of being competitive with their family or checking in with them, being like, oh, hey, I saw you did this. And like we hear all the time that people start off text conversations from that, check in with loved ones because of it. So like there's one element that's kind of cool there. Another thing that you'll see is like if someone redeems an offer for a brand maybe you haven't tried, you're like, oh, maybe I will try that. Or maybe I'll ask the person, what did they think of this product? Is that worth it? And then a lot of people like the leaderboards, just being able to compete, who can earn more points, so you can compete against yourself. Like we think shopping, if you think about like going to the market, ever since there was a market 10,000 years ago, it's a social event. Like shopping and food should be somewhat social. So we want to lean into the fun parts of that and make it a social experience. It shouldn't be isolating. And I think during COVID, that's when we came up with the social feed, is we're like, everyone's so isolated and we're not having that interaction. It'd be great to have it in a very harmless way. And I think Fetch is very like harmless, right? Like it's not a social media where you have to worry about people cursing me out for not having daily rewards, right? Like you can just, it's fun.
That's awesome,
and
man.
This is a question I wanted to ask. Last question. This is a question I want to ask you. When Wes sits down at night and he's thinking, what is the end goal for Fetch for you?
I think it's getting as far towards that vision as possible. So like the key parts of that vision is world. Right now, we're just available in the US. But I don't think the desire to have a free best friend that saves you money is unique to the US. I think that's going to be pretty like universal. And I feel it's our obligation to go and find and help provide people those savings, especially if you think about like things like inflation right now. Inflation over the last 2 years has way outpaced salary growth. So how are you asking everyday Americans to still keep up with this? And if you think about what Fetch is like a little bit of a rebate back on some of that inflation that's happening. And I think that's just like a very worthy thing to do. If we can help people meaningfully save enough that they can treat themselves to a coffee once a week, treat their kids to dinner out, all these different things, like I think we should aspire to bring that to as many people as possible. And if we create a bunch of employees that have life-changing outcomes from that too, awesome. If we do it the right way with a culture that we're proud of, where everyone feels safe and comfortable being their full authentic selves, and you can show that you can build a $100 billion company the right way, I want to do that. Like, I really want to do that because I think it sends a good message to what can be done and that you can do it the right way. You don't have to, bad guys don't have to finish first, or you don't have to be a robot. Like you can do this as just a normal human wanting to make a difference. So for me, like success would be being able to amplify that impact.
100%, man. Keep up the great work, man.
I was gonna say, I got one last question. This is my last question. So like for Wes, the user, what is your favorite feature of the app?
I mean, recently, genuinely, it's been the games. I found all these fun games, and I'm like, normally I felt guilty playing games, and now all of a sudden I'm earning Fetch points for playing the fun.
Why not get rewarded for doing what you love?
I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is like my business. It's so crazy. So I really like that feature. We have a brand new feature that's coming out
exclusive
April or May. That is a totally new source of value, 100% incremental. We're not taking anything away. This is all new value we're adding in. And I think people are going to love it.
Can't wait.
So I'm most excited about that. It's coming up.
That's awesome.
Look forward to it, man. We appreciate you taking the time with us tonight, man. Like I said, you want to get to bed.
No, you guys are excited. I'm ready to go. Let's keep going.
No, we appreciate you and keep up the great work, man. The app's awesome. I say you inspire a lot of people, especially a lot of young entrepreneurs. We hope they check this out and they feel inspired from it, man.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
You, bro.
Appreciate you.
Love it, dog.